What's up, guys? It's Professor Gnome, and today we're going to be looking at Snorlax Stall. I know a lot of people are really unhappy with this deck, and some are even calling for it to be banned. Personally, I don't think it needs to be banned, but I'll elaborate more on that in a few moments. With this deck, what you're going to want to do is you're going to play Rotom down and use this to draw at the end of all your turns, and just keep recycling different supporter cards based on kind of what's the most important thing. So disrupting their bench with Avery, or using something like the Misfortune Sisters to make your opponent discard off the top of their deck, or whether it be using something like Sidney in order to discard cards from their hand. You're really just looking to disrupt them as much as possible, eliminate all their options, and then just kind of sit back and relax and trap things into the active using your Snorlax with the block ability. You also run Pidgeot V. You use this because you're able to send it from your bench back into the deck, essentially making it so in a long stall game, you'll never deck yourself out, which is pretty important to note. One thing that I want to touch on before we get into the games is that a lot of people are talking about how this deck should be banned, and though I personally don't find it to be the most fun and entertaining deck for my own personal playstyle, I still think the deck has a place in the meta, and we're just not adapting to it enough yet, so it's catching people off guard and being more powerful than I think it really deserves to be. And so let me know if you want me to do a video on all the potential counters, but I think the biggest one that everyone's aware of is something like Minior. If Minior comes in, you kind of just die, and granted, you can have Bravery Charm or something like that to prevent getting one shot, but you don't really have too many answers other than just bossing something else new in. But Minior can always switch back in, and it becomes this constant problem you have to deal with that can really put this deck on edge. So that's something that I thought I would note. As well, there's a couple other cards that can be pretty good, depending on the circumstance. So if that's something you guys want me to go into in the future, definitely let me know. But for now, we'll get into the games, and I'll see you guys in game one. Peace. All right, we're into the first game. We're going to be going first, and not an incredible opening. We typically want to open up something a little different than this, but not the worst. This Mimikyu can wall depending on the circumstance. In this case, we can wall a little bit. We can actually stop Frenzied Gouging, but outside of that, there's not much he can really do to us for the moment. And what we'll look to do is get an Arven out. Get ourselves into... we'll get ourselves into one of our Snorlaxes and start getting set up. One of the things that's going to be important with this matchup, and so this is actually one of the problems with this deck that is going to be a little cool to be able to showcase here. And what that problem is the fact that typically this is what happens. You open up a whole bunch of trainers and or supporters and just one basic. And if you don't have anything, you can just lose immediately. Especially if our opponent makes us go first, like in this instance. We don't have an option and we just get dunked immediately, which is one of the issues that this deck will have. So like this is actually pretty common, and one of the reasons why I wouldn't say that the deck should be banned. Now granted, not every deck can make you go first, but when this happens, this is like the strategy. Like this is how you can beat this deck, because it happens very consistently. So I want to leave this in and show that this is a problem that can happen when playing this deck, and also as a way to help combat it is force it to go first and try to get that early knockout. Sometimes will they open two basics? Yes, but more often than not, they won't open it, and you can prevent them from being able to actually set up as long as you can have an aggressive enough turn one. But yeah, we'll get into the next game. I just wanted to make sure that I left this in and was able to show this, because this is one of the ways that this deck can struggle. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next game. Alright, we're into the next game. Our opponent won the coin flip again. This time they will be going first. And so this is an instance that could be totally fine for us. So we open up the Snorlax. We have the Temple of Sinnoh, depending on what they're playing. We have the Nest Ball. We have Arven. And if they go wide, we have the Avery. Seeing the Iron Hands isn't super ideal, but we could be able to trap it, and that could work out really well for us, considering it won't have the knockout power to get past us in a single attack. So if they load up all their energies and we're able to trap something like a Bidoof later, that could be really good for us. Playing against something like Pal can be a little awkward because of the fact that it's able to load its energies and move itself around pretty easily without like much we're able to do to stop them. But this is going to be an instance where if they're not set up, our Mimikyu will actually be able to wall them really well, and they won't have much they're going to be able to do about it. So what we're looking to do here is we're going to Arven for our VIP pass, because we don't need anything else just yet. And we'll go ahead and attach the Bravery Charm. Bravery Charm will help prevent knockouts against our Snorlax from something like a Baxcalibur or whatever else it is they may be trying to set up. And we'll only place down one other Snorlax for now. The reason for this is that we don't want them to have the ability to Avery or something else in that vein that is going to force us to start discarding our Snorlaxes preemptively. They haven't played down anything too serious yet, so there's the Barrel, so they'll allow themselves to draw. But really now what we're looking to do is... Alright, so there's their Baxcalibur, which again still isn't a big issue because they can't knock us out. There's not much they can really do. We'll be able to sit here, grab ourselves the Misfortune Sister, and we can start using that immediately. And this will hinder them more and more as the game goes on. Getting rid of their super energy retrievals can completely hinder the deck, and that's what we're looking to be able to hit with the Misfortune Sisters. Now we can just draw with Rotom, and we're set up for the next turn to pretty much continue to loop and do the same things. He'll be able to draw one with the Barrel, and by the time he can power this up and start damaging us, we'll probably be able to either switch card ourselves out or be able to boss up and use and put something else into the active. That's what we'll be looking for. We'll grab the Penny for now. He'll only be able to do 120 or 160, not enough to knock us out, so we can always Penny, pick this back up, put in a new one, and keep rotating from there. So for now, we'll just go ahead and... do we want to switch early? I don't think we do. I think what we want to do is get rid of as many possible item cards and things like that as possible. Because again, like I said, it doesn't really matter if he is able to attack us once. We can always Penny, pick it back up. Sorry if that was really loud. I accidentally hit my mic. But what we'll be able to do is actually just Penny, pick this up so we can avoid the actual damage from the knockout. And alright, so that's huge because he's going to start helping by discarding himself. And it's not really that big of a deal. Like I said, we can Penny, move, or what we can do is find ourselves a boss's orders. So we'll just go ahead and remove this, which is another reason why Temple of Sinnoh is really good. It kind of plays multiple roles in the deck. In this case, what we can do is go ahead and Erika. They don't have any energies, which I guess is fair. That's on us. We played it a little early. But, again, doesn't really matter. We can just sit here, draw some cards. If we really need to avoid a knockout, we can always use Luxurious Cape. And getting ourselves to 250 can really be massive and help block out some damage numbers. Now that we played Erika, he's being a little bit reckless. Because now we can actually use Erika's Investigation. And that'll be able to help us. But for now, we'll just go ahead, Penny, pick this all up, put in our next Snorlax, put one down, go ahead and put the Bravery Charm back, and just keep kind of sitting here looking for the boss, because that'll be the easiest way to do this. Didn't find it yet, but that's fine. On the next turn, we know that he has an energy in hand. So what we'll do is we'll Erika's, pull up the barrel, and we'll switch cart. I used Erika's wrong again. That's on me. So what we'll do to fix our error, we'll play down another Snorlax. I forgot that it's not basic energy, it's basic Pokemon, so that's my fault. I'll play this down. It'll work all the same, not the biggest deal in the world. And we'll just keep digging. There's our boss's order, so we can fix this problem that I made. You know, made a mistake. I used Erika's wrong twice, but that's on me. The games are a little slow, but that's what's going to happen. Again, what he can do is use a boss's orders of his own. Going to amp you very much, but not really the biggest issue. We can go ahead and switch cart that back out, go into this. And from there, we will boss up the barrel. And in the following turns, we'll just penny in order to pick these back up and make sure that we're not in any danger of their own boss or cross switcher to cause us problems. If they continue to build a bench, we can always Avery them. We have Pidgeot in the deck to make sure that we never deck out, along with other Super Rods in case we end up losing any of the Snorlax. We can always just get them right back, or our Rotom. And also, same thing with pretty much everything else. We have other options to get back anything that we end up putting in the discard pile. So we can kind of just chill. This is a situation where they're kind of stuck. Like, they're going to need all their cross switchers, and as soon as we're able to get into a Sidney or something like that, we'll be able to start discarding their hand. And that's mostly what we're going to be looking for. There's our Misfortune Sisters. So for now, what we'll do, we'll just use this, grab ourselves back 2 Misfortunes, and grab ourselves back 2 Misfortunes and a boss for now. And we'll just keep drawing our cards. There's our Misfortunes again. So what we can really start doing is we don't really need to worry about giving up a prize card or two. Honestly, that's more beneficial for us because we'll be able to start getting counter catchers to be active, and we won't have to rely on things like boss's orders and stuff like that. So really what we're going to start doing is we're going to be looking for things like the Misfortune Sisters to discard the last of his important resources, things like potentially hitting escape ropes or hitting his switches, or hitting his cross switches. And really limiting as many options as possible. He only has 2 energies in the discard pile, but getting those back will be good for him. Just so he can have them to either use with Radiant Greninja or some other option. Right now he's pretty much completely stuck until he finds something else to be able to work with. And I'm not worried about Barrel really doing anything, because even if it does attack and it gets through, it won't do enough. He'll have to hit 3 times, and even hitting once isn't going to set up for enough. He sets up to be able to retreat, goes into this. I don't think that was the right move, personally, because even if he attacks, he doesn't have anything that's going to knock me out. He can hit and set up Ampy very much, which I think is wrong. One of the misplays that he's doing right now is he's relying so heavily on Iron Hands to set up situations for him, but it's not really beneficial. So, like, we'll just put that back, play this down. We'll Pokégear, find ourselves another Misfortune Sister. So now we can just start playing this over and over again. And yeah, so there's not really much in our way right now, because all we're going to do on our next turn is boss up the barrel again, and he'll be back in the same position. Ampy very much is fine. We can go ahead and boss his orders up the barrel again. Go ahead and Pokégear. Find ourselves a Sidney. And we'll just end our turn there. Because even now, if he's able to cross switcher, it won't be the biggest deal in the world to us. Honestly, what we could do is... Alright, so I was going to say, one of the things that we can do is we can Avery. If he continues to go wide. This will help him find something like one of the last cross switcher pieces, a switch or an escape rope. He might not have them. Got rid of the temple. Finds himself some more items, but nothing useful. Yeah, so like really the biggest issue here, and one of the things that he's doing that's a mistake, is A, he's relying way too heavily on the Iron Hands. Playing down the PAL, or like working on getting into... We'll put investigation down, I guess, and another penny. Actually, I really don't need this anymore. I misplayed it, and I'd want to fix that error, but I really don't need it at this point. What we'll do is we'll just get rid of his Pokestop in case it does help him find something more important. And we'll go ahead and Sidney just get the cards out of his hand and also be able to see what he does have in his hand. So right now there's the PAL, the... yeah, so nothing super important for us to have to deal with. The mistake he's making, and I keep harping on this, but I guess I've never really got to the full point of what I wanted to talk about, is he put way too many energies down onto his Iron Hands. And so what's that? So what the problem there is? All right, cool. What the problem there is that if he had just put the energy onto his Baxcaliburs, he could be able to spread a bunch of the energies that he does have out more efficiently, so that way everything can just attack regardless of what's in the active, and being able to move the energies around with Excalibur would stop me from being able to just selectively choose what I want to boss up and what I want to have moved around. So we can just end our turn there. And we'll kind of just be able to continue to sit here. And then, like I said, we can always Pidgey at the end of every turn if we really wanted to. We're in a situation now where we can just aim another Misfortune Sister, see what we're able to discard. We get 2. Nothing that's incredibly helpful to us, but again, doesn't really make all the difference. We'll be able to check what our prize cards are. There's another penny and a PAL pad. So on our next turn, what we can look to do is, again, either go for another Misfortune Sister, or we can try to see if we can grab another PAL pad. There's a Super Energy Retrieval for... He has 2 energy. So if he's able to... I'm curious to see what he would move around. Because I don't think there's much he can really do. There's an Iono, which, I mean, gives him extra time before he decks out, but really helps me as much as it helps him. The Pokestop's in play, but again, doesn't really hurt or help me or him in any way. We can kind of just sit here. I'll go ahead and grunt to grab myself back these 2. And we'll just keep kind of hanging out. There's not much really going on. Mostly because of just mistakes that he's made multiple times throughout this. I think this will only do 1 game. I did the one that showcased kind of a weakness here, and then the other one kind of showing one of the issues. Like, the game 1, our opponent did something correct, and then in this one, our opponent's kind of done something wrong, I guess is the best way to articulate it. We'll go ahead and check the hand. Nothing really important there. We can go ahead and end our turn. I think one of the ways that people should start kind of looking at this deck and looking on how to counter it or to beat it is A, upping the number of escape ropes or switches that the deck plays. I'll hold on to the penny for now. We'll grab ourselves an Arven. And grab a Super Rod with it. Yeah, I think that's the best play to make. We'll end our turn. So, I think people should start either running 2 escape ropes into their deck, which could be beneficial. Or also, instead of just a escape rope, running Canceling Cologne could be very helpful. Running a of Minior is super huge. That's another card that I think is being really undervalued lately, and should be looked at. Put that back. Just place this down. Go ahead and Luxurious Cape again. It's not letting me pick it up. There we go. And I guess we'll just start drawing with Rotom. Yeah, so being able to... I think people just need to start adjusting their lists. Because right now, even running like one of an extra boss's orders would be really good. Running, like I said, the Minior would be super helpful. We'll discard that. Running pretty much an extra switch of any kind is really what's going to make the difference in a lot of these scenarios. Like, being able to boss up to the Rotom would be huge. Just to give yourself a little bit of extra, like, time and leverage. to be able to get something like this barrel out of the active, which is really the biggest problem. So like even here, Cooley knocked out, you know, the one Snorlax. He's going to be able to take a prize card. But that kind of just doomed him more than anything else, because now it unlocks all of my my captures. So I can go ahead and take this and just kind of sit here and wait. I could have bossed it up if I really wanted to, but I just want to illustrate the point. And now I can just sit here, draw some more cards, expand my options, pass the turn. If he doesn't have an Iono or something like that, then we just win the game. There's the Super Rod, so it'll buy himself a couple more turns. Got himself some Pokemon. And we'll see what he's able to do. Only one energy. Okay, that's pretty underwhelming. And there's the concede, because there's no options left. I think the problem is that he put too many resources in way too early onto the Iron Hands, trying to pivot around and try to get like double prizes and stuff like that, where it would have been more beneficial to hold those kind of energies for something that took way less resources, in order to just have energies on either each thing and just play a very low bench. So running just the Excaliburs on the board and switching between those and just slowly getting KOs over time would be something that could be beneficial, because I don't have enough pennies to just do that forever. And so I think like that's a big thing that comes to this deck. I think people aren't used to how to play against it, that causes people to fail. And I think that's the biggest takeaway with this deck. But definitely let me know if you want me to do a more in-depth video on how to stop this deck and how to be more ready and prepared for it, because I think it's definitely a big problem in the meta right now, that this deck is performing better than it should for like where it's at. I think it's a very, very strong deck, and I do think it's very good, but I think some of the success of it is people not being very prepared. But that's going to be today's video, guys. Definitely let me know what you think, and let me get your opinions on this deck and how you guys feel about it. As somebody who loves Snorlax, and it's my favorite Pokemon, I personally am happy there's a deck that utilizes him well. I just wish it wasn't this playstyle, because it's just not the most entertaining for me personally. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Definitely let me know what you'd like to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.